Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, first published in 1884, is one of the most influential works of American literature. The novel follows Huck Finn as he travels down the Mississippi River with Jim, an enslaved man seeking freedom. Through their journey, Huck gradually begins questioning the beliefs and prejudices that the society around him has taught him to accept. Twain's literary style combines realism, satire, humor, regional dialect, and first-person narration, capturing the language and culture of 19th century America while exposing its contradictions. The novel explores themes of freedom, friendship, racism, slavery, morality, conscience, social hypocrisy, and the conflict between individual judgment and society's expectations. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn remains important for its groundbreaking use of American vernacular and its powerful examination of a young person's struggle to recognize humanity and choose his own moral path. The story starts with Huckleberry Finn explaining that readers may already know him from the story of Tom Sawyer. Huck and Tom once found a hidden treasure, and Judge Thatcher now manages Huck's share of the money. But wealth does not make Huck feel free. The widow Douglas has taken him in and tries to civilize him with clean clothes, manners, school, and religion. Her sister, Miss Watson, is even stricter. Huck learns to read, but he feels trapped by rules he does not understand, and by prayers that do not seem to work the way adults claim. Huck returns to the widow's house partly because Tom promises he can join a gang of robbers if he becomes respectable. One night, Tom sneaks up to Huck's window and the boys slip away. They play a trick on Jim, a man enslaved by Miss Watson, then meet other boys in a cave and form Tom Sawyer's gang. Tom fills the boys' heads with romantic ideas from adventure books, including ransom, murder, secret oaths, and noble crimes. Huck joins in, but he quietly notices that Tom's dramatic plans rarely make much sense. As months pass, Huck becomes used to school and the widow's household. But his father, Pap, reappears. Pap is violent, drunken, and resentful that Huck can read and has money. He demands Huck's fortune, threatens him, and eventually kidnaps him. Pap locks Huck in a remote cabin across the river on the Illinois shore. For a while, Huck enjoys the rough freedom of life in the woods, but Pap's drunken rages become dangerous. After Pap chases him with a knife, Huck decides he must escape for good. Huck carefully stages his own death. He cuts his way out of the cabin, kills a pig, spreads its blood around, and makes it look as though robbers murdered him. Then he hides his supplies in a canoe and paddles to Jackson's Island. From there, he watches people search the river for his body. Huck feels guilty for upsetting the widow and others who care about him, but he is also relieved to be free. On the island, Huck discovers Jim, who first thinks Huck is a ghost. Jim has run away because he overheard Miss Watson considering selling him downriver to New Orleans, where he would be separated from his family. Huck is shocked because helping an escaped enslaved man is considered wrong by the society that raised him. Still, he promises not to tell. The two make a hiding place in a cave, weather a storm, and find a floating house washed down by the flood. Inside is a dead man, but Jim keeps Huck from seeing the face. Huck later goes ashore disguised as a girl to learn what people are saying. A woman named Judith Loftus tells him that Jim is now suspected of killing Huck, and that men plan to search Jackson's Island that night. She sees through Huck's disguise, but he escapes before she can uncover the truth. Huck rushes back to Jim, and the two leave the island on a raft. Huck and Jim drift down the Mississippi by night and hide by day. Their goal is Cairo, where the Ohio River can carry Jim toward the Free States. Along the way, they come upon a wrecked steamboat, and Huck, eager for adventure, explores it despite Jim's warning. He overhears robbers planning to abandon another man to die. Huck and Jim steal the robber's boat and later try to send help, though the wreck is lost. Huck feels proud of doing a good deed, even for criminals. As Huck and Jim travel, their friendship deepens. Huck reads to Jim, tells him stories about kings, and argues with him about history and language. One foggy night, Huck is separated from Jim and the raft. When he finds Jim again, he cruelly pretends the whole separation was only Jim's dream. Jim eventually sees the debris on the raft and understands that Huck has tricked him. Hurt, He tells Huck how worried he was. Huck feels ashamed and apologizes. A major step because he has been taught not to treat Jim as an equal. Near Cairo, Huck's conscience troubles him. Jim talks excitedly about freedom and about buying his wife and children. Huck feels that he is stealing Miss Watson's property by helping Jim. He even paddles away intending to turn Jim in. But when Jim calls Huck his only true friend, Huck cannot betray him. When men approach searching for runaway enslaved people, Huck lies and makes them believe his family on the raft has smallpox. They leave quickly and give Huck money. Huck remains confused because he feels guilty whether he does the humane thing or the socially approved thing. Soon after, Huck and Jim miss Cairo in the fog, lose their canoe, and are struck by a steamboat that smashes the raft. Huck reaches shore alone and is taken in by the Grangerfords, a wealthy family locked in a deadly feud with the Shepherdsons. Huck admires their elegance at first, but the feud exposes the foolishness and violence beneath their gentility. When Sophia Grangerford runs away with Harney Shepherdson, fighting erupts, and Huck sees Buck Grangerford and another family member killed. Horrified, Huck rejoins Jim, who has repaired the raft, and they escape downriver. Their peace does not last. Huck rescues two men fleeing trouble, and they turn out to be professional con artists. One claims to be a duke, while the older man claims to be the lost son of the French king. Huck quickly realizes they are frauds, but he keeps quiet to avoid conflict. The duke and the king take over the raft, forcing Huck and Jim to serve them while they invent schemes in river towns. The con men exploit people wherever they go. At a religious revival, the king pretends to be a reformed pirate and collects money from the crowd. The duke prints advertisements, including a fake reward notice for Jim that allows them to travel by day by pretending Jim is their captured runaway. In an Arkansas town, the duke and king stage theatrical performances, including a scam called the Royal Nonsuch, which tricks audiences into paying for almost nothing. The townsmen, embarrassed by being fooled, encourage others to attend, so everyone else will be cheated too. During this part of the journey, Huck sees more of Jim's humanity. Jim mourns his wife and children and remembers with guilt the time he struck his daughter before realizing she had lost her hearing from scarlet fever. Huck, shaped by a racist society, is surprised by Jim's depth of love, but the river continues teaching him that Jim is fully human, loyal, and tender. The king and duke then attempt their worst fraud. They arrive in a town where a man named Peter Wilkes has recently died, leaving money to his nieces and to two brothers expected from England. The king and duke pretend to be the brothers, Harvey and William Wilkes. Their false grief deceives the town and the three Wilkes sisters, especially kind Mary Jane. Huck is disgusted by the cruelty of cheating such trusting women. When the con men receive the Wilkes inheritance money, Huck decides to steal it back. He hides the gold in Peter Wilkes's coffin, hoping to return it later, but the coffin is sealed before he can recover it. The king and duke then sell the Wilkes property and separate an enslaved family, causing real heartbreak. Huck tells Mary Jane the truth and asks her to leave town temporarily, so her honest face will not expose the plan before he can escape. He leaves her a note explaining where the money is hidden. The real Wilkes brothers finally arrive, and the town tries to determine who is telling the truth. Handwriting tests, arguments, and claims about a tattoo on the dead man's body lead to Peter Wilkes's coffin being dug up. When the gold is discovered inside, confusion erupts and Huck escapes to the raft. For one joyful moment he believes he is free of the frauds, but the king and duke also escape and return. The journey grows darker after that. The con men fail at several schemes and begin whispering together. Huck plans to abandon them, but when he returns to the raft after escaping from them in a town, Jim is gone. A boy tells Huck that Jim has been captured and sold to a farmer named Silas Phelps. Huck realizes the king betrayed Jim for money. Huck faces his deepest moral crisis. He writes a letter to Miss Watson telling her where Jim is, believing this is the right thing according to the world he knows. But as he thinks of Jim's kindness, friendship, and trust, Huck cannot send it. He tears up the letter and decides he will help Jim even if he believes it condemns him. In that moment, Huck chooses loyalty and compassion over the cruel morality he has been taught. Huck goes to the Phelps farm, where Jim is being held. By chance, Sally and Silas Phelps mistake Huck for their expected nephew, Tom Sawyer. Huck plays along. Soon the real Tom arrives, and Huck intercepts him. Tom is shocked to see Huck alive, but quickly agrees to help free Jim. Huck is surprised that Tom, a respectable boy, is willing to do something society calls wrong. At the Phelps house, Tom pretends to be his own brother Sid. The boys discover that Jim is locked in a shed. Huck wants a simple rescue: steal the key, free Jim, and leave. Tom rejects this as too easy. Inspired by adventure novels, he insists on making the escape elaborate, dangerous, and theatrical. He invents unnecessary obstacles, including digging with table knives, creating messages, making a rope ladder, and filling Jim's shed with snakes and rats. Jim, patient and confused, goes along with the nonsense. Tom also sends anonymous warning letters to the Phelpses, pretending that dangerous robbers are coming to steal Jim. The letters terrify the household and attract armed local farmers. On the night of the escape, Huck, Tom, and Jim flee through the tunnel, but the men chase and shoot at them. They reach the canoe and escape, but Tom is shot in the leg. Jim refuses to leave him without medical help, even though staying risks his freedom. Huck brings a doctor, who later returns with Tom and Jim. Jim is recaptured and chained, but the doctor tells everyone that Jim helped care for Tom when he could have escaped. Tom wakes and proudly explains the whole escape plot, only to reveal that Jim has actually been free all along. Miss Watson died 2 months earlier and freed him in her will. Aunt Polly then arrives and clears up the confusion, identifying Tom and Huck and exposing Tom's trickery. Jim is unchained and treated kindly after the truth comes out. Tom gives him money for his trouble, and Jim reveals one final truth to Huck. The dead man they found in the floating house was Pap. That means Huck's father can no longer threaten him, and Huck's money is safe. Tom wants another adventure out west, and Huck decides he may head that way himself, because Aunt Sally is already talking about civilizing him. After everything he has seen, Huck wants no more of being trapped by other people's rules. In the end, Huck's journey down the Mississippi becomes a journey away from the beliefs society has handed him. He begins as a boy trying to escape rules, school, and abuse, but he slowly learns to trust his own conscience. His friendship with Jim teaches him more than any sermon or lesson ever does. By choosing Jim over the values of a racist world, Huck discovers a rough, imperfect, but deeply human kind of freedom.